Before you can get really, really creative and break the rules, you have to learn the basics. Because if you don't know where those limits are, you won't know where or how to break them. You want to start a business so you can be your own boss, but you don't realize that, yes, you've come out of the 9 to 5 and you jump straight to a 24/7. I believe that everyone is photogenic. It really comes down to the photographer. It takes you a 60th of a second to take a photo. You've got all day to create it. Every picture that you make, you're leaving a piece of yourself for someone else to discover.
Hello and welcome to the Differentiation podcast. My name is Michèle Sorgaroli and I'm your host. And today we are being joined by a very special guest, Kal Termanini. Kal is a commercial and portrait photographer. His journey from Syria to arriving in Canada just 7 years ago with only a backpack is a story of courage, creativity, and community. He has rebuilt his life through photography. And Kal believes that mastery begins where formulas end, and that true art comes from heart and not habit. He has a passion for capturing their essence and helping small business owners tell authentic stories, and he supports his clients to stand out and connect with their audience on a deeper level. And I am so looking forward to this conversation, Kal. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Oh, this is fun. It's going to be really fun. So, Kal, you have, based on just some online content that you've shared publicly, you have quite a vast range of experience, everything from crime scene photography to judging photography awards to university level course creation and delivery, and then being praised for your work with giant corporates like Panasonic, GM, Google, and the like. That's a lot. So
it's been one hell of a journey.
Right? It's so fascinating. I know you've got more stories that we could possibly cover today, but where I actually want to take us back to start is the moment that you really either picked up the camera or first really connected with the camera and thought, this is the moment, or this is for me.
Wow. Yeah, I actually remember that day very clearly. I was 13 years old when I first picked up the camera. It was actually my dad's camera, which I still use to this day. It's an old Olympus OM2 camera that I picked up, and I needed. It was a bit of a troubled period for me. My parents were going through a divorce, and I needed an outlet. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to pick up the camera, and I took this picture, and then just viewing the image like in the viewfinder, I realized that, oh my God, I can create my own reality rather than having someone else tell me what reality should be.
Oh, wow. Create my own reality.
Yeah. So I just the sound of the shutter and winding that film, I was just hooked. And I remember finishing the roll, taking it to the developers over at Kodak, and it was an absolute mess. Every photo that I took was either overexposed, underexposed. It was an absolute mess, and I felt very defeated at that time. But the owner of the place sat me down and he says, "Right, so this is your first roll of film ever, right?" I'm like, "Yep, absolutely." This is so through his coaching, and every week I would go back with a roll of film, and and he would tell me exactly what I was doing wrong, and I would be taking notes. And I just as they say, I was bitten by that photography bug, and I haven't put it down since.
I love it. The moment where you thought, I think this is actually really interesting. This was all film. This wasn't digital. So there was no immediate feedback for you. In this camera, you were, taking blind photos that we all know. We just waited with so much anxiety around, oh, I hope the photos are good. I hope. And of course, we didn't take very many because it was expensive.
It was expensive,
right? To produce them. So you'd only take one, maybe two, because you want to preserve each shot.
Especially as a 13-year-old, is like, like, when am I going to come across the next roll of film? So it was very. The anxiety was there, but the excitement was there as well.
Yeah. Well, I think it's amazing, that moment where you actually you said, it was an outlet for you. It started that way as an outlet. And then you said, I can create my own reality. And what's fascinating to me there is that, according to your story, you hadn't actually seen a photo yet. You were just looking through the lens,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely. It was just black. I just saw that frame and I saw the shutter come down and I just went, that moment was just captured forever. Not knowing that it was a completely black photo when it was developed, but in my head, it was just a moment that was, it's just eternal for me.
Right. The power of the lens through which we look.
Yeah,
And metaphorically, but also very physically and tangibly in the
exactly,
example you're giving, it's
exactly.
remarkable. What also stands out for me is that when you got the photos, when you got the photos developed, and I know your pain, seeing these first roll come through and they're just a mess and you're not at all what you envisioned it might be. This is such a great metaphor for an entrepreneurial journey, as well as I'm thinking about, you set out to do your business and it doesn't end up at all like you think it might, especially in the early days. But you felt defeated. You still held on to the vision. You still had this idea, and a coach showed up, someone to help you. Is that what I
Yeah,
heard?
yeah, absolutely. His name was Mohammed, an absolute sweetheart of a man. Um, and I think he's passed since then. He was quite old at the time, but when we would sit down, and he would treat me like one of his own sons, and he would show me, and not just tell me, but show me what I'm doing wrong and things like that. And the attention and the patience that he had
Yeah.
was, it was second to none. I felt safe in that environment. So I associated photography with safety for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's my safe area, and whenever I feel, whether it's anxious or uh,
Mm-hmm.
frustrated with anything, I just bring it back to what did Muhammad tell me on that day.
That's remarkable. And I would imagine, given that you were in an emotionally challenging place with your parents divorcing, that would have been that mentorship for you, I would imagine, was
That was, yeah,
instrumental.
my first mentor. Yeah,
Right. Yeah, that's phenomenal. And it just shows how you were, as you said, bitten by the bug and you had the vision and the experience. And the mentor is what allowed you, in this case, to access that in a way that allowed you to maintain your interest or supported that interest,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
That's phenomenal. So as you now think about your work today, you've been you've been through quite a journey. I'm not going to, I won't if you won't let me, but I'm really curious about the crime scene photography. How the heck did that happen? And then, and then moving from that to today, where you're supporting business owners to tell an authentic story. I mean, that's such an arc.
Yeah, it's my the portfolio. If looking at it, it's just the archives rather than the portfolio. But the archives that I go through is just so eclectic. I first started off shooting, like doing family photos and baby photography and some weddings, etc. And then when I started the teaching aspect of it, which I absolutely love to this day, I get a call from someone who's in the Ministry of Interiors in the Abu Dhabi government, and they said that they would like me to teach their photographers from the police force on how to use the cameras effectively for the use specifically for crime scene documentation. And I just, it was at first I kind of went, I am I reading this right?
Yeah.
Am I hearing it right? And he goes, yeah, you heard it right. There's going to be 6 police officers at your disposal, and you're going to teach them. They've never picked up a camera before, and you're going to walk them from A all the way to Z.
Wow.
And it was, they were some of my best students for many reasons, but going through the process with them and actually seeing things that no one should really be seeing,
Mm-hmm.
and no one should be going through, it really made a mark. Whereas I need to put a lot more attention to make sure that the documentation that we're taking is accurate, um, and true to what actually happens. So there's no creativity involved. it's all about pure documentation. So we can't exactly add a shadow here and add some lighting onto this side in post-production and making things look creative. It's really just black and white. This happens. This is exactly the photo that depicts it. Um, I it was tough on me at first. It was tough on me afterwards, but I just kept going back. Is like, so what I've done with these 6 photographers is I empowered them to really help the justice system. I mean, at the end of the day, a photo can make or break a case. So I felt that it was my responsibility to make sure that they had all the tools um, that they needed for that.
Yeah.
Um,
This is,
and
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, it was. I still remember to this day. I remember their names. I remember going through the training aspect of it from the police, being on, their training grounds and being on accident scenes and crime scenes and things like that. It was a period of over 3 months, um, and it's an experience that I'll never forget, for sure.
Yeah, I can hear that actually as you're recalling it. The thing that I'm pulling on here, we talked very early on here, we talked about heart versus habit and the art and the mastery in your craft. What is standing out for me here is that that training was requiring you to see the truth and tell it accurately. And that kind of discipline for a creative who wants to create their own reality would force a certain level of discernment, if you will.
Yeah.
That I'm sure, as you think about what you do today, telling stories and helping business owners to express their own authentic selves through the photography. Like you said, a photo can make or break a case. And in this case, if we translate it to your work today, I'm just connecting that dot of having that technical discipline at such an early stage in your career. I can't imagine that doesn't somehow translate into how your photos make or break the authentic storytelling or the essence that you're trying to capture today.
The technical aspect is definitely there. It's a very, very technical way to shoot. It's like I said, there's no creativity.
Right.
And again, it goes against everything that I learned in terms of creativity and what I want to show the viewers. And the hardest part really is to turn it back off again and getting back to the creative aspect and working with my clients again. It's 3 months of shooting nothing but for the purpose of documenting events, and then suddenly turning it off and doing a family portrait where it should be creative, it should be fun, it should be lighthearted, children smiling and getting creative with the lights and the gels and everything else. That transition period for me was quite difficult to look through that lens again. So I needed to readjust my entire sort of approach, and to unlearn the things that I'd learned over the past 3 months, and to go back to what I really wanted to do, which is to be creative. So the technical aspect and the creativity they were clashing constantly for 3 months. But yeah, it was. I would probably say the best word to use is really enlightening, because for 3 months when you're focused on documenting reality, it's almost the same as photojournalism in a sense, where you cannot change the photo in any way or augment it or retouch it or edit it or add shadows because it's it's meant to depict exactly what's happening in front of you. That actually taught me a great deal when I started teaching photojournalism with the Thomson Reuters Foundation.
Right.
They contacted me and they said, "Look, we've got some individuals who want to learn photojournalism, and your name came up, and we would love to." And that was about maybe 3 or 4 months after shooting for the Abu Dhabi police, um, where everything that I learned during those 3 months, I actually somehow managed to apply in the next group of students.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, you said it was very hard to let go of the technical, and
Mhm.
and yet the technical is the part that I would imagine is what allows you that technical training or the discernment that you would have had to see every detail and to accurately understand how it needed to be captured to tell the truth, right? So that kind of technical training is so incredibly important. And when you're wanting to create your own reality as opposed to document reality, which is more formulaic. So here's we're
Mhm.
getting into
Yep.
mastery, right? Mastery is more heart than habit.
Yep.
You had all this habit, and you're right, like letting go of all of that training to give yourself the freedom to be creative again. It's challenging, and yet it's so valuable to have had that in your past, I would imagine.
It was difficult, but at the same time, I'm very grateful for it.
Yeah.
I'm
Tell
very
us more about
grateful.
that. What is it that, and you, as you think about your craft, mastering your craft today, what is it that you're grateful for?
Ooh, that's a good question. What am I grateful for?
In terms of how that training serves you today?
Yeah, I think the ability to deal with ambiguity on the fly, and situational adaptability, where it made me able to see the task in front of me, and no matter what, no matter the hiccups or the hurdles I have to jump over to get the shot that I needed, it's taught me that just take your time. I always say, look, it takes you a 60th of a second to take a photo. You've got all day to create it. And
Interesting.
but the ability to understand the technical aspect, to master the technical aspect, where you have all the theory ingrained in you to a point where it becomes second nature. It's almost like tying your own shoelaces. Um, Now, when you learn how to tie your own shoelaces, you learn the standard, the standard way. But after a while, you can create your own methods of lacing up your own boot,
Yeah.
right? But you need to know the fundamentals, and the the fact that I've had photo shoots where I'm hanging out of a helicopter, or photographing sports on top of a half pipe, or photographing food. It has its own. They each have their own challenges, and being able to master the technical aspect and to pivot to overcome those challenges. Oh my God, I'm getting a reflection that shouldn't be there. How do I do it? Go back to your training. Go back to your training. So once you get to the fundamentals, it and becomes second nature. I don't have to worry about shutter speeds anymore. I don't have to worry about ISO anymore. It's almost ingrained in me, where I can go into any room, pick up the camera, and actually set it without looking at it, based on what I've seen and experienced in 23 years of photography.
Yeah.
I can almost read the light like a book now.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
It
You know,
is.
there's so much here. The thing that I'm noticing is, you're speaking about where the theory or the training serves you when you're trying to get a result. Go like the reflections there, why we need to get rid of that reflection, go back to my training, and that will guide me to generate what I'm looking for, but it's not guiding what you're generating. It's supporting you to create what you're trying to create, right?
Exactly.
It's supporting you to create, but it is not limiting you or determining what you create, if you will. Hence the heart and habit that we were talking about at the very beginning, right? And we see that a lot. I love the example of the shoes. Tying the shoes. My same example, I have something very similar. I talk about writing. When we learn to write and we're, kindergarten, grade 1, and we're picking up the pencil for the first time, or maybe we're 4 or 5 or 3 or whatever.
You got to work between the lines.
You got to work between the lines, and you got to get the right shape, and
Exactly.
it has to be a perfect circle and whatnot. And, by the time we're in grade 4, grade 5, we're starting to find our own style more or less. And certainly as an adult, we're now moving into our signature becomes our own, and our writing can be essentially, it's so unique that it can be read, to identify who's the author of this script, who's the writer of this script. So it's the same sort of idea where the technical theory is so important so that we can actually read what you write.
You're absolutely right. So in my workshops, I always say creativity, there's no right or wrong in creativity, but there is right and wrong when it comes to the technical aspect. But at the same time, there's a very, very fine blurred line between the technical aspect and creativity and where they overlap. So I can, when I'm working with a student or one of my mentees that I mentor every once in a while, I always say, look, before you can get really, really creative and break the rules, in whether it's composition or exposure or even telling a story, you have to learn the basics. Because if you don't know where those limits are, you won't know where or how to break them.
Right. Exactly.
So we find the limits, we find the little box that we're working in, we reach to all the little corners in it, and then once it becomes second nature, we can then just break the box and you're on your own, essentially, because everyone is creative in their own right, and I can't teach creativity, but I can at least empower them and give them what they need to unlock their vision and how to use the tools, i.e. the camera and the lenses and the flashes and the cables and computers and the software, on how to recreate what's in their head.
Right, exactly. So this concept of, I like to refer to them as technical expertise. And expertise as a technician is limited because it's formulaic. And you can't go outside that box, right? You got to follow the formula. But then we move into, in your language, or in your style, creative mastery, I call it. Creative mastery is where you allow the creativity to come in. And so this is something I see a lot of as well in my clients when they're a technical expert in their craft, whether it be in accounting or finance or whatever it is, right? And I'm sure you see something similar. And you talked about it was very difficult to let go of that technical expertise, that technical training, because it was so ingrained in you, right? And of course it served you very well in that particular setting. I'm curious because I see this a lot where letting go of that training to allow space for creativity, there's all kinds of risks involved in that, and there's a lot of resistance and hesitation. Where do you see that when you're working with your clients and trying to get them perhaps to be more creative when you're helping them tell their story?
When it comes to my clients, obviously I'm always working within a brief, like a creative brief that I'm given. There are times where they give me full creative freedom. Say, like, you're the artist, do whatever it is that you think is right. The hardest part is to really understand their brand and put on a marketing and advertising hat at the same time and learn their business within weeks, preparing for your photo shoot. more times than often, you go there and everything gets thrown out the window because you're not on set. Now, once you're on set, you're creating, you're coming up with ideas and concepts that you think the customer is after.
Mhm.
And there are times where they go, "Oh my God, this is exactly what we were thinking." And other times they're like, "Well, how about we try it this way and try it this way?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, all right, no worries." And I use the tools that I have to really um, open up more possibilities of being creative. So when I talk about creativity, it really isn't about, trying to come up with a nice picture. It's more about coming up with a picture that really tells their story.
Tell us more about what you mean when you say that.
Um, so when I'm photographing portraits, it's not as simple as just placing someone um, on a stool and lighting them. Or if I'm photographing an interior of a restaurant, it's not really just, it's no longer, I don't see it as architectural photography when I'm doing
Mhm.
interiors. It really is what style restaurant is this? What kind of person is this that I'm photographing? And I will talk to them for more than an hour, just getting to know them at a personal level. And
Mhm.
while that happens, I'm learning their own body language. I'm learning
Mhm.
how they speak, how they pose
Mhm.
themselves, and using that as as sort of like a, little clues on how I can actually compose the photograph and make it
Mhm.
look natural and really tell their story. In the case of a restaurant, if it's a nice fine dining restaurant, I'm not gonna, fire up all the lights and, you know, uh, and come up with a very, very bright, uh, happy, whimsical trying to photo shoot when it's like fine dining, like a French restaurant. You're having a nice steak or something. It's dim lit by
Yeah.
nature. So you're working with these parameters and to really tell the story where if someone is viewing the picture and goes, I know exactly what it feels like to sit in that chair.
What's coming, I'm loving this. What is coming up for me is you're um you're trying to create in visual form the reality that they want people to experience.
Yeah, the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, the feeling.
So the beautiful thing here that I really want to pull on is that you're starting with them. How do
Mhm.
they move? What do they talk about? How does their body language shift?
Absolutely.
What is the environment in which they work? And so the value that you are pulling out in their story is, like you said, their essence, right? It's coming
Mhm.
from them first. It's not as which many of your peers, and I've certainly experienced my own, which I've shared with you in a previous story, where we were the subject of more of
Yeah.
a formulaic approach to photography, which was I've got the set shoots all figured out. I know the shots
Hmm.
I'm going to take, and then we're going to take you in them, and you're going to be the subject of my ideas.
Yeah.
And that I've shared with you in a previous conversation, that felt very void of me. Right? There was no me in the picture. It was just
I'm
my
sure it felt
body.
awkward for you.
It,
I'm sure it felt
well,
very awkward.
it felt very awkward in the poses and in the positions, and it just felt
Absolutely.
disingenuous as well. Um, and this is where we get into habit that you were talking about
Mhm.
earlier, right? Where this can happen a lot, where anyone in any craft, I know what to do, and they just start doing what they do. And for a while, that's worked quite well. Early in their career, that formula served them very well. But at a point,
Mhm.
it doesn't serve anymore. I'm seeing a lot of nodding. So what are
I'm
you leaning
yeah,
into
I'm
here?
going through 23 years of professional experience going. I remember when I found this unique little style and it became a habit and I just constantly started shooting. And then years go by, I look back and I'm going, oh my God, everything was the same.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, so you do fall in this comfort zone once you learn this formula, whether it's from a technical point of view or a creative point of view.
Mhm.
I always say, so when I'm teaching portrait photography, it's not just how to make the picture with and how to pose and stuff like that, but actually how to read the model.
Yeah.
So I always say, look, I can pose model A in this specific pose, take a picture, and it looks great. I can use the exact same pose for model B, and it's going to look awkward.
Mm-hmm.
The formula is the same.
Mm-hmm.
I just copied it and pasted.
Yeah.
But why does it look awkward? Well, because the person that you're photographing is an individual, is different. Their
Yeah.
body language is different. Their body structure is different.
Yeah.
Perhaps their frame of mind. You need to be able to sort of see all these things and create your own formula on the fly that's going to work best for them.
Exactly. So, read the model, right? Read the
Read the
model.
model.
What are
Yeah.
they going to respond to? And I think I'm curious because sometimes I've had this certainly in my experience with my clients where we're reading them, and they're telling us everything, and I can see perhaps a part of them that they don't see.
Yeah.
And do you ever come across maybe you've taken a photo that feels like you've read the model really well, and they're kind of going, oh, seeing themselves differently as a
All
result
the
of you're
time.
smiling.
Almost all the time. Was it 10 days ago? I was photographing an orthotics clinic here in Guelph, and uh, it was staff portraits. And one of the staff members, she goes, "Look, I have to warn you, I'm very, very photogenic, very unphotogenic. Sorry, and I look awkward in photos. I don't know how to look good in photos. I just went, all right, no worries. And the minute she said that, I put the camera down,
Mhm.
had her sit down on the stool in front of the lights, and we were just having a conversation. And without her noticing, I sort of like maybe 10 minutes of a conversation, I just reached over to my camera. I'm like, ignore me. I'm just setting my camera, so forth. And I worked taking the pictures while she's using her hands and her facial expressions. And I looked at it and I kind of went, I love this picture. And I showed it to her on the back of the screen, and she goes, oh, I like it.
Oh my gosh, I just got goosebumps.
I like it. I didn't think, oh my God, you're a magician.
Mm,
And I just went, well, I appreciate it, but it's not magic. It's really trying to listen to what you're saying and how your body's reacting to it,
yeah,
and just capturing that moment. So I truly, truly believe that everyone is photogenic. It really comes down to the photographer.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
So going into sorry to interrupt,
Mm,
going into the habits, if you look at, there's a lot of portfolios out there, especially the ones that are sort of up and becoming, commercial photographers or portrait photographers. The posing is quite similar. The
yeah,
lighting is quite similar,
yeah.
which is fine because they're probably still trying to master their techniques.
Mm-hmm,
But once you get to a level where you're in this comfort zone, you will become dated. Like you will look at a photograph and goes, oh, this is totally 80s. This is a total 80s photo with the laser beams and everything, you know?
Yeah,
So you need to be able to adapt with the time, be creative, and not fall into the trap of rinse and repeat just because it's a successful formula.
right. Beautiful. You've spoken so much, and we have in this conversation about creativity. So I'm curious now, understanding that how important that is, how do you stay inspired? And how do you stop yourself from going to habit, if you will, or formulas that have worked? What supports you to do that?
I'm a big fan of music. When I'm listening, and I'm always listening to music, whether in the car, whether I'm at home, having a shower, or wherever it is. And when I'm listening to a track, I'm a very empathetic person. So when I actually feel the music, and I almost see myself directing their music video. So I'm seeing images as I'm listening to music.
Okay.
The lyrics, the tempo, the beats, the music itself, the guitars, the drums, how they're working together will create an image in my head. And there are times when I'm like, oh my God, I need to replicate this. And I've never done it before, and I'll try it. And sometimes it'll be like, nah, it didn't work. It's okay. I learned something new.
Mm-hmm.
That this formula doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So music really inspires me to be creative. I'm always listening to music in the studio when I'm photographing someone or something, because it changes your frame of mind. The music that you listen to, if you're listening to happy music, if you're listening to classical music or dark music or rap or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, it will change someone's state of mind.
Mm-hmm. I'm
So,
curious.
hmm,
You said that you're filming, when you're in the studio filming or not filming, photographing somebody,
mhm,
you're listening to music. Did I
yeah,
understand that?
yeah.
How do you choose the music for the person, or is that something you consider?
I definitely consider it like the type of person. If someone who like during it's virtually rare. Well, actually, it's very rare when I'm about to photograph someone that I haven't had a conversation with them already,
Okay.
right? So I understand their well-being. I'll ask them, hey, look, what kind of music do you like? Because I don't like a silent studio. It just feels awkward. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I listen to this, I listen to that, and listen to this, and I create some form of like a playlist that I think
Okay.
will fit that person's music taste.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so I'm curious. I'm curious.
Yeah.
So if you were to ask me that question, I would say, what kind of music do you like? And I'm holy mackerel. I like everything from Baroque, classical, right through
Mhm.
to pop and jazz, and I'm all over the place. The only thing I really don't like is hard rock.
Okay.
um, so I know that if the environment will create the kind of energy that would present in a photography session, right? So if it's more upbeat, I'm probably going to be emitting more energy, I'm
Mhm.
imagining,
Yeah.
versus something a lot more, quiet, jazzy, relaxed, something like that. What
it's
would,
all it's all in the face. You can actually see this person's their entire body language is
yeah.
really focused in the face. When you're listening to music and you have and you're giving your attention to someone specifically, in this case as a photographer, they you can see that they're trying hard not to tap their feet to the music,
Yeah.
but they're really really enjoying the the mood that it's creating, and that is all in the face. You can really
Mm-hmm.
tell someone if someone is fake smiling or not. It's very very
Mm-hmm.
easy. It's hard to explain how I do it, but you can very very clearly see if someone has a genuine smile
Oh.
or not. But sometimes the photo dictates that the person not smile. So if I
Mm.
was to get very creative and photograph something that tells like a sad story, I wouldn't play their favorite kind of music that they would listen to while they're on their way to work.
So you're trying to set the vibe, if you will, for what you're wanting to,
Mhm.
for the energy that you're wanting to be expressed through the photo
Yeah,
or the photos that you're taking,
yeah. I'll
matching
set the
them.
vibe,
Yeah.
set the mood, the emotions. If you're looking for a sad photograph for a specific project, I'll play very sad sort of um, music from like a soundtrack or from a movie soundtrack.
Mm,
Those are always very very emotional.
yeah.
One of my favorite composers is Hans Zimmer, who's done some of the greatest movies, uh, and James Horner and all of these amazing composers. They are creating the mood that will complement the visual
Mm,
aspect.
hmm. It's interesting, because you're actually crafting an environment, if you will, or designing an environment that's going to support the output
Mhm.
that you want, or the outcome that you're looking for, right? Because
Yep.
the environment is going to stimulate certain behavior or feeling or motion or thinking, what have you,
Yeah,
that then you
exactly.
get to capture on camera, and you're trying to say, okay, this is what I want to capture, and this is the environment I need to create in order to generate the kind of potential for that outcome, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So as we're thinking about in a business as well, because you work with business owners,
Yep.
and I think about that a lot around how um, the environment that they create, whether it's a storefront retail business or whether it's an online or services business that has very different, the environment that they create, I talk about this a lot. The environment they create is going to impact how their clients experience
Mhm.
right out of the gates, right? I often say the environment tends to dictate the rest, right? Because
Exactly.
I always say we always know you know, before we even open the door, if we're walking into a McDonald's or a white tablecloth, we know how to behave.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
We
Read the
know.
room. Yeah.
Read the room.
We
So
read the
the
room.
environment is kind of the boss in a way, because it's going to dictate to you how you are going to respond. And so I like to say, well, okay, let's design the environment to make sure that it generates the kind of response we're looking for, which is what I'm hearing from you as well.
Yeah, which is why I love like when it comes to entrepreneurs, small businesses, and I love supporting the small businesses because I know what it's like to try to use your passion as a form of income. It's extremely difficult. There's a blog post that I talked about, the challenges of having being a hobby photographer and a professional photographer and how to make it. And the people that I photograph who are business owners, they are super proud of what they do, and I love that. And so why would I take them out of their own environment and put them in a studio that I just rented? So I would actually, most of the shoots that I do are actually at their location. It's in their own environment, their own little workshop, their desk. They're so happy with it, and so once they're in their own environments, they can open up freely.
Right.
To express themselves.
Yeah.
To really express themselves. And doing that in the studio it works, but I want to know their story.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, hey, I'm renting a studio, or you can come to my studio, plain white walls and everything else, click, 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 boom. I want to sit down and I want to understand their business. Tell me a little bit more about your business. And as they're talking about it, you can see them just light up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And that's when I pick up the camera without them noticing, and I'm taking some pictures. And it's almost like this interview process, between pictures, asking a question, pictures, asking a question, and just listen. So it takes time to come up to find the curiosity, because sometimes you're photographing something that you're not really interested in it in your own personal life. So you have to find something that's going to create this curiosity for you to really appreciate what they do.
I love that. Thank you for saying that. For you as the artist, and I experience the same thing, I'm always looking to be curious. I need to find my curiosity, my excitement, my passion, which is what you're hearing as well. And that's where the heart comes in.
Exactly.
Right? It's when you really start to empathize or envision or co-create, if you will, just getting a sense of, oh, this is really interesting. It changes the game.
Absolutely. On both sides.
Yeah, I think
both
so.
sides.
So I'm, we talked at the beginning when you were talking about this mentor who showed up, Muhammad, I think you said his name was?
Muhammad,
is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
So when Muhammad showed up for you as a mentor, and he helped you transform, if you will, into a photographer, become a photographer, and see what was possible for you. I'm curious about when you're doing that for a client, when you're photographing them in their own setting and helping them see themselves, like that woman who said, I'm not photogenic, and then saw herself and said, oh, wow, I actually like that photo. When you help them see, are there times when they see something and they're uncomfortable or resistant because of something that they didn't see in themselves before? I see this kind of thing a lot, and yet they know it's true, but there's a discomfort because there's something transforming inside of them as they're experiencing themselves differently. Does that happen for you?
I'm looking at the picture, and from a technical point of view, it's perfect. From a creative point of view, it's perfect. And they're looking at it, they're like, it just doesn't look like me. Expression, is it the lighting, is it the shadows that are being created? And I always say, like, look, I mean, that comes down to that person's state of mind. They could be self-conscious. I personally feel very, very awkward when I'm on the radio and I hear my own voice on the radio. I'm like, oh my God, I sound like that. oh God, this is what I sound like, and
Yeah.
so I mean, I'm sure you're gonna be watching this, and I'm like, oh my God, is that what I look like? And so you're always gonna feel self-conscious to some extent,
Yeah.
and some people are a lot more comfortable with what they see or hear than others,
Mm,
which is fine,
mhm,
which is
mhm.
absolutely fine. When I photograph someone and they're not happy with the photo, it's not that the photo is bad. It's just that they're not happy with the way they're looking,
Mm,
and that's okay. It's like
mhm.
it's almost like you're hearing yourself on the radio, and you just don't like the way you sound. It all comes down to the artist making you believe that, look, this is you. You
Right.
are a beautiful person, right?
Yeah.
It just looks weird. We're by nature, we're not supposed to see ourselves
Yeah.
as a species.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Seeing yourself is just very, very weird.
Yeah.
Um,
I think there's a piece where we want to feel and be seen.
mhm,
And at the same time, sometimes when we see what others see, if it's incongruent with with our own self-image or identity, there's a
yeah,
reconciliation that has to happen there as well.
exactly. Yeah.
And it's sometimes a challenge to see if that's or to accept that as being potentially accurate,
Yeah,
or
there
a
are
version of
times.
what others see.
Exactly. There are times where the customer, they just kind of just went, look, I mean, yeah, it's a great picture, but I'm not happy with it.
Hmm.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. As um, I do whatever I can to make sure that my clients are happy with the results.
Hmm.
Um, and I make sure that I'm happy because by ensuring that they're happy with the outcome of the
Hmm.
photograph. It
Hmm.
does its job.
Right.
It's meant to
Exactly.
do a task. This picture is meant to do, it's meant to promote their business or their products
Right.
or to tell a story. As long as it's done that, that's what makes me happy.
Right.
um, and everything else is just noise.
Yeah. It's making sure that it's aligned with the story they want to be told. And
Exactly.
sometimes, whether it's photography or coaching or anything else, as a business owner, is sometimes they're introduced to parts of their story that they may not have seen before, might not
Yeah.
have been aware
Hmm.
of. And sometimes these, whether it's through your work or through mine or any other mentor who might show up, they might see a part of their story that they hadn't yet either
Yeah. Yeah.
accepted,
I
seen,
mean,
or even reconciled, right?
exactly. There's a lot of things
Yeah.
that people do for their business that will make them feel
Mm.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's
And
true.
and
So much
it's
courage. So much
you
courage.
need the courage. You need the
Yes,
courage. You
you
need to
do.
go out and knock on those doors,
Well, you're an expert at that, having been on the
It's
journey you've been on in your lifetime.
so yeah, I mean, I will tell you the story of how I actually changed my hobby into a profession. My background is actually IT security.
Oh my
Um,
gosh, I didn't know that.
and I had the whole corporate job, suit and tie, going 9 to 5, Monday through Friday,
Wow.
and it paid really well, and with all the benefits, and what more could a guy ask for? Um, and one day the company, it was a very large international company that was bought out by someone else, and
Yeah.
that department, my department, was made redundant. And I was angry. I was like, why?
Mm.
It's like
Hmm.
I put my heart and soul into this company for 5 years, and now because a CEO or a chairman messed up, the company's got bought off, and we get stuck with the short end of the stick.
Right.
And I was a bit bitter. And then one day I was married at the time. My wife goes, so what are you planning on doing now? I mean, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. I just want
Yeah.
to just take some photos and just clear my head.
Yeah.
A few weeks go by. I sat down. I said, I honestly don't know what I'm going to be doing right now. And she looked at me and she goes, Cal, it's staring at you right in the face. And I was looking around, and she picks
Yeah.
up the camera and she says, this is your calling. This is what
Oh,
makes you happy. It never occurred to me to do it professionally.
yeah. Yeah.
And I kind of went, oh my God, I can be my own boss. I can do this. I can do that. I can sleep in if I want. But the whole sort of, you want to start a business so you can be your own boss, but you don't realize that, yes, you've come out of the 9 to 5 and you jump straight into it 24/7.
Most people don't know that when they choose it.
Exactly.
They're like, I'm going to be free.
And I work. And even when I'm not shooting, even if I've caught up with all my editing, I'm just constantly coming up with new ideas, new creative ways to shoot, meeting new people, trying to get inspired, try to inspire through my workshops that I teach, and to really hold on to the art. To really, really hold on to it, because it's yes, it's a science. It started off as chemistry, with when you're developing your own film, and you can get creative with that chemistry. So it's not all formulas and everything, but you can actually get creative with it. Just hold on to it, because every picture that you make, this is a quote that I like to say, every picture that you make, you're leaving a piece of yourself for someone else to discover.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That is absolutely true. Yeah, I want to just pull on what you said around this 9 to 5, 24/7 thing, because I think there's there's a lot of wisdom in that. And what I want to highlight that you kind of said, when we're 9 to 5, a lot of the time we think we work too much. It's like, oh, the job might be good, but very rarely is it inspiring for a lot of people, where they're like, oh, it's a lot of work. I go to work, I go home, and I've got my other stuff that I have to do as well beyond the job. But the interesting thing is when we go 24/7 into an entrepreneurial venture, as I like to say, these are challenges that inspire us, and challenges that challenges that pull us forward. So yes, we're actually working more, but somehow it doesn't feel like we're working too much. It's so interesting.
I haven't worked a day since 2003.
Right? There you go. Yeah. So these are challenges that perhaps are even more challenging than the 9 to 5 that we may have been in. And whether it's a 9 to 5 or not, it doesn't, what matters is that there's challenges that you want to pursue, challenges that inspire you and give you that sense of growth and excitement and some vision of the future that you're, pursuing, and gives life meaning, if you will. So, Kal, as we're just winding up here, I just want to pull on one last thread. If you were to look back at your younger self and advise your younger self on your journey, what piece of wisdom might you offer?
That's a good question. I'll probably say there's two things. Don't fear failure, and go out and meet more people, because when it comes to failure, we tend to get very disillusioned very quickly, and it slows down that momentum. And then once you get at a complete stop, the inertia to get going again is brutal. It is brutal. So I always just say, look, don't fear it. Just plow right through it. If you trip, you get up and fall, and you fall down, you get up, and you keep going. See that as a win, because you just learned something. There were times where I would just tuck, put my head in the dirt and just say, oh my God, I can't do this. And it would be someone else who would be telling me, it's like, look, just get up. Don't let it bother you. So if I was to go back in time and see myself, I would be like, do not fear failure. It's part of success. And meet more people. Don't be closed off, because it's growing up, I avoided confrontation. I avoided meeting new people at the fear of judgment. And many years later, I realized that people is where creativity comes from, whether it's from yourself or from someone else. So just by talking to someone, you will somehow find something creative to do with it, to do with whatever knowledge that you learned from that person, whatever photograph that you saw that someone else took. If someone is, playing the guitar, you will get inspired to do something.
Yeah.
So if we don't meet more people, you're just going to get stagnant. We are social creatures.
Yeah.
We are
That's a
social
beautiful.
creatures.
And I started this conversation introducing you and saying your story is one of courage, creativity, and community. And here we are going full circle. Don't be afraid, be courageous, meet more people, have a community, and create through that. Just spectacular. Thank you so much for such a rich, rich conversation today.
Thank you very much for having me.
It. Kal, before we find, just last touch for those, I know your stuff on LinkedIn, you post such great content on there. Where, other than LinkedIn, because I'll make sure people have that link, is there anywhere else where if anyone wants to connect with your wisdom or your work, where might they find you?
So yes, you are correct. There is my LinkedIn page. Whether it's my personal page, Kal Termanini, or the company page, which is Kal Termanini Photography.
Okay.
You can also find me on Instagram, Kal Termanini Photography, one word, or my website, just kaltermanini.com.
Okay, perfect. That makes it easy.
Yeah.
Thank you for today. We know where to find you, and we'll make sure everybody has those links. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, Kal. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Talk soon. Bye for now.
Yeah. Bye-bye.